You want to eat healthy, but you don't. Here are the 6 most common excuses for why we don't eat healthy. Sometimes we have to recognize when we're just actually giving excuses and we're not getting things done. Listen, if you're watching this, hopefully you know that you should be eating healthy. It's important to eat healthy, to have a good life, to enjoy your family, to be around as long for your kids as possible, to be around as long for your family as possible, to work your job well, to be on God's mission well, and to glorify Him as long as you possibly can. Those are all good things, but we oftentimes get into slumps. And listen, we all normally get into slumps, that's normal, but here are all the excuses for why we're not eating healthy, and we need to get over these pretty quick. First excuse is you don't have time. Yes, you do. You have time to eat healthy. You have time to eat healthy. Here's the bottom line underneath all of our days. We make time for what we want to do. Now listen, I'm married. I've been married for 10 years. I've got 3 children. I work a full-time job as well. I also have a number of extracurricular activities I participate in. I am a busy guy. I live in San Francisco. I commute. There's a lot going on here. I have time to eat healthy because it's a priority in my life. And so I want you today to commit to making health a priority in your life. There are going to be some sacrifices. There is some time sacrifices in terms of preparing meals, maybe even cooking more, making the hard choices when going out with friends, not drinking that extra drink, not having that extra part of that meal, or not having that dessert. Those are all sacrifices that you will have to pay. But in the long run, you're fueling your body to perform way better. And listen, if you're really, really spiritual and you're thinking that way, this is going to keep you alive longer for God's mission. So you do have time because you make time for what you want to do. Excuse number 2, you don't have the money. Listen, I know what it's like to not have a lot of money. I grew up that way, and it can be hard. But here's the thing. Eating healthy is actually not that expensive. Now, eating at Whole Foods every day, or as some of my friends like to call it, whole paycheck every day, can be expensive. But that doesn't mean you have to do that. And so sometimes we get lulled in this idea that grabbing a Slurpee and a hot dog from 7-Eleven or going to McDonald's and getting a number 6 is actually cheaper. But the fact of the matter is, it's actually pretty cheap to eat healthy. Things like rice, white rice, and brown rice are incredibly affordable, especially at markets like the grocery outlet. You could even go to different farmers markets to get vegetables for really cheap. That's one of my favorite things to do. One of my favorite things to do is to go on a Saturday or Sunday farmers market and head down and go grab some different vegetables from local vendors, because if you do that, you're gonna be able to get carrots and fruits and vegetables really, really, really affordably. And they're healthy, they're usually organic because local farmers are growing them. And things like chicken breasts are incredibly cheap now. You can get those for very cheap as well, so you can eat meat. Sweet potatoes cost 10, 20, 30 cents a pop. And so you can get yourself a bag of rice, some sweet potatoes, some lettuce in the big giant $5 bins, and even a couple pieces of chicken. For less than $10, you can feed a family. So I encourage you, you do have the money. It's just gonna take a little bit of research. And that's why we put together a website like FCAN'T, so you can then look at some different grocery lists to be able to figure out what's the best thing for me to eat. And guess what? I'll throw that link for the grocery list in my description. So if you wanna check that out, make sure you grab that. Another reason you don't eat healthy, or we don't eat healthy, is we say things like this: all things in moderation. And we will even quote that as if it's in the scriptures. So I was looking through the Bible the other day, and I didn't find this concept of all things in moderation. I don't know if you found it, what verse that is, but if you did find the verse, post the verse in the comments, because I would love to know what verse that is. Here's the problem with all things in moderation. If you take all things in moderation, emphasis on the word all, it's no longer all things in moderation. You are now consuming everything in moderation. That is gluttony. So we have to be very careful when we say all things in moderation. It's not good to have arsenic in moderation. If you're allergic to fish, it's not great to have salmon in moderation. So many of us have these different food intolerances and even food allergies that we don't know about that are causing autoimmune conditions, or even small things that we recognize like gut distress or even canker sores, and they're actually causing inflammation in the body. There's a lot that we're eating that's actually harming us, and so it's not good to have things that are harming us in moderation. Another reason we're not eating healthy is that we actually have biological cravings that we don't know about that are causing us to snack. And so we'll say, I don't really snack that often. But when you were to keep a food log, you would actually see that you do snack quite often. You would see that you're reaching for nuts, reaching for chips, reaching for an extra drink here, and here throughout your day. And you didn't even recognize you're just doing something called grazing, where you're grazing throughout the entire day. And so our excuse is, oh, I don't snack. I don't understand why I'm not losing weight, or I don't understand why I'm not healthy. Well, the fact is you actually are snacking quite often, you just don't recognize it. And so in order for us to overcome this, one of the best things you can do, like I mentioned, is keep a food log. You can actually write down what you eat, or download an app like MyFitnessPal and track everything you put in your mouth, so that way you actually see what you're eating. And this will be a great way for you to realize whether or not you actually are doing well, or if you're not. Another reason why we're not actually eating as healthy as we think is that we psychologically actually just believe we are eating really well. And this is true especially for former athletes like myself. I used to play football. My wife was a volleyball player. And because we ate so clean when we played, we oftentimes bring that mindset into the regular world. And so we're like, I think I'm eating really well. Well, I'm eating really well. Or I think I am exercising really frequently. Well, the truth is, we're actually not. We just have this mindset that's been built into us that we are. And so when we actually keep a food log and we see, we're actually realizing, you know what? It turns out that I am actually not eating as healthy as I thought I was. And so many of us have the same mindset. We have an overly positive mindset. Oh, things aren't so bad. I only had half of this, or I only ate half of that dessert. And if we actually write it down and track it, we're realizing, ooh, maybe we're actually eating a little bit more than we thought we were. So this is really another reason you should keep a food journal, just in case you're being a little too positive about what you're actually eating. But here, you know what? If you are positive and you are eating a lot, you'll find that out too. So it's still a good reason to keep one. The last reason why you might not be eating healthy is that you just don't have enough information on what's healthy and what's not. And a lot of this falls on our government. The standard American diet is actually a really bad diet for human beings. And all of major and modern Western diseases have skyrocketed. Cancer, heart disease, hypertension, all of these things, Alzheimer's, strokes, all going up. And so that's why we've created a website like X and Hilo. And by the way, you don't even have to go to my website or even my YouTube channel. There are so many different resources out there that can help you. Hey, listen, I hope this was helpful for you. Would you do me a favor and subscribe to this channel, so that way I can get as much of this content out as possible. There just isn't a lot about health and wellness in the Christian faith out there. And so if you subscribe to this channel, that'll help me do that. I appreciate you.